There's a sound that doesn't come from music or speech or nature. It's the sound of fingernails softly tapping on glass, a whisper just millimeters from your ear, the gentle crinkle of wrapping paper, or the slow, deliberate brushing of a microphone. And somehow, it doesn't just enter your ears. It crawls over your scalp, it drips down your spine, it wraps itself around your nervous system like a warm blanket. You might get goosebumps, you might feel completely relaxed, or oddly enough, you might cry. This sensation has no smell, no taste, no obvious explanation, yet it can trigger feelings of comfort, safety, even intimacy. But here's the strange part. Some people feel it instantly. Others feel absolutely nothing. So what is this bizarre experience we call ASMR? A new kind of digital therapy? A sensory illusion? A glitch in the human brain? Or could it be something deeper? A secret language of touch and sound we've forgotten, but still ache to hear? In this video, we're not just exploring internet oddities. We're diving into something far more mysterious and human. We'll break down the science behind ASMR, why your brain lights up like it's being touched, even when no one is there, how it activates regions tied to pleasure, memory, and emotional safety, and why some people experience intense euphoria while others just feel awkward. But we'll also go deeper, because ASMR isn't just about tingles and triggers. It's about intimacy in the digital age. It's about loneliness, anxiety, and the quiet hunger to be cared for. You'll discover how this strange sensation connects to ancient human instincts, and why, in a world full of noise, millions of people are turning to the softest sounds to feel alive again. By the end, you might see ASMR not as a trend, but as a mirror reflecting what we're missing most in our everyday lives.
Before we dive into today's mystery, here's something important. Over 95% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this type of content, support this channel by subscribing. It only takes 2 clicks for you, but it means a lot to us. It helps us grow, reach more curious minds, and build a strong community around the questions that matter. So go ahead, hit that button, and let's keep exploring together.
Before it had a name, it was just a feeling, a strange, tingling wave that crept from your scalp, down your neck, and melted across your back, leaving behind a warm, fuzzy calm. People didn't talk about it. They didn't even know how to describe it. For decades, it lived in silence. An unspoken secret shared only in fleeting moments. A teacher speaking softly over your shoulder, a friend brushing your hair as you talked about life, the rhythmic hum of someone flipping through pages nearby. Moments that felt oddly sacred, but impossible to recreate. Then came the internet. In early online forums, years before YouTube exploded, people began asking strange questions. Does anyone else feel tingles when someone whispers? Is it weird that I feel relaxed when watching people fold towels? Am I the only one who gets chills when someone gently explains something? They weren't looking for attention. They were looking for validation, proof that they weren't alone. And in 2010, a woman named Jennifer Allen gave this elusive sensation a name: Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, ASMR, a term that sounded scientific enough to be taken seriously, yet vague enough to fit something so personal. The name caught on, but the experience had already begun its quiet rise. YouTube, still blossoming as a creative outlet, became the perfect home for these sensory experiments. Early ASMR creators, later known as ASMR artists, weren't polished influencers. They were ordinary people with cheap cameras and quiet voices, whispering, tapping, role-playing, reading bedtime stories into a lens as if speaking just to you. At first, most people didn't get it. Some even laughed. But the comments told a different story. This helped me sleep for the first time in weeks. I started crying and I don't know why. I feel like someone finally sees me. It was intimate, personal, raw, and completely unlike anything else on the platform. And then, science took notice. Neuroscientists and psychologists, initially skeptical, began to study what was happening in the brain during ASMR. Were people just imagining it, or was this something real? As research unfolded, something fascinating emerged. A doorway into human connection, built entirely out of sound. Imagine your brain like a city at night. Some areas stay dim, others light up with activity depending on what you're doing. Now, when someone experiences ASMR, very specific parts of this city come alive. The nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center, same place that responds to food, music, and love. The medial prefrontal cortex, tied to empathy and emotional bonding, and the insula, which helps process bodily awareness, like how it feels when someone touches your skin. But here's what's wild. There's no actual touch involved, just sound. And yet your brain responds as if someone is gently caressing you. Scientists call this a pseudo-tactile response. Your brain simulates touch even though your skin isn't being touched. It's like phantom warmth, but real in how it affects you. Now let's talk about mirror neurons. These are special brain cells that fire when you perform an action or when you see someone else doing it. Ever yawn because someone else did? That's mirror neurons at work. With ASMR, when you hear someone carefully folding towels, brushing hair, or softly role-playing a doctor's checkup, your mirror neurons respond as if it's happening to you. Your brain's empathy system gets triggered. You don't just watch the care, they feel like they're caring for you. That's why ASMR can feel so deeply personal, even if it's just a stranger on a screen. Now you might be wondering, why do some people get tingles while others feel nothing? There's no definitive answer yet, but here's what we know. It may have to do with neurological wiring. Some people's brains are more sensitive to certain types of sensory input. Others might simply have different thresholds for trust or emotional closeness. ASMR involves surrendering to a very intimate dynamic, someone speaking softly just for you. If your brain isn't wired to interpret that as comforting, or if it feels awkward, then the tingles just don't happen. It's a bit like ticklishness. Some people burst out laughing with a light touch. Others feel nothing. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. It just means your brain is tuned differently. Now here's where things get really interesting. ASMR isn't just about sound. It's about attention. Slow, focused, undivided attention. In a world where everything is loud, fast, and overwhelming, ASMR offers the opposite. A person looks directly into the camera. They speak slowly, kindly, gently. They do one thing, just for you. And that triggers something ancient, the feeling of being cared for, of being safe. Psychologists call it the interpersonal effect. It's the emotional version of being wrapped in a blanket. Even if you're alone in your room at 2 a.m., it feels like someone sees you. For many, that's more powerful than the tingles themselves. We live in the loudest century in human history. Notifications, traffic, headlines, sirens, streaming, scrolling. Modern life is a constant storm of stimulation, and beneath that storm, something quiet happened. People got tired, not just physically, but emotionally. Tired of noise, tired of being unseen, tired of never slowing down. Enter ASMR, the softest rebellion in the digital age. It offered what the world forgot how to give: slowness, gentleness, undivided presence. In a culture obsessed with productivity, ASMR gave people permission to just be, and that mattered, especially during moments of collective anxiety. When the world shut down in 2020, millions of people found themselves isolated, anxious, and touch-starved. The need for human connection didn't disappear. It simply went online. ASMR videos became a form of emotional self-regulation, putting on a whispering voice while trying to sleep, letting soft sounds ground you during a panic attack, using brushing motions to mimic human closeness. Viewers didn't just watch ASMR, they leaned on it. It wasn't long before the business world noticed. Major brands like IKEA, Dove, and even Michelob Ultra started producing ASMR-style commercials. A close-up of a hand smoothing fresh linen, a whispery narrator describing the taste of a beer, nails tapping on wooden furniture as a voice calmly explains the product. Why? Because marketers realized that ASMR didn't just sell products. It sold safety, trust, presence, and in an oversaturated ad world, a whisper suddenly cut through the noise, louder than a shout ever could. At first glance, ASMR might seem like just another internet phase. But when millions of people are using it to sleep, calm anxiety, and regulate emotions, It's not a trend. It's a tool, a psychological coping mechanism, and maybe even a cultural signal, a soft cry for more human-centered ways of living. Let's face it, not everyone gets ASMR. Some people feel the tingles immediately, like flipping a switch they didn't know was there. Others watch dozens of videos and feel absolutely nothing, and that's okay. ASMR isn't a test. It's not a superpower, and it doesn't measure how sensitive or in tune you are. Some people have brains that respond to these kinds of soft, detailed stimuli. Others don't. Just like some people love cilantro and others taste soap. If ASMR doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean you're missing out. It just means your nervous system speaks a different dialect. But if it does work, if you felt that odd tingle, that sense of calm, that moment of peace in a restless mind, use it with intention, not as an escape, not as a substitute for real connection, but as a tool, a whisper that reminds your body, it's okay to rest. If you're curious to try ASMR or already using it, here are a few ways to keep the relationship healthy and meaningful. Don't chase the tingle. Sometimes the effect fades with time, and that's normal. Focus on how it makes you feel, not just the physical response. Explore different triggers. Everyone's brain is wired differently. You might not react to whispers, but soft crinkling, rain sounds, or guided role plays might do the trick. Use it with mindfulness. Don't scroll while watching. Let it be your moment of stillness. Turn off the lights. Close your eyes. Let your nervous system soften. Balance it with real-world connection. ASMR can mimic intimacy, but it doesn't replace it. Use it to calm your mind. But don't forget to reach out, speak, laugh, and touch in real life. This question comes up often. If I'm watching a stranger pretend to care for me, is that healthy? And the answer is, it depends on how you use it. ASMR isn't a lie. It's a simulation. Like watching a movie, reading a novel, or hearing a lullaby. It taps into ancient neural pathways that say, someone is here, someone is gentle, you're not alone. If that gives you comfort, that's not weakness, that's humanity. So, what have we uncovered? ASMR is not magic. It's not hypnosis. It's not a quirk reserved for sensitive people. It's a neurological phenomenon where the brain responds to soft, intentional attention as if it's being physically touched. We've seen how it lights up reward centers, triggers mirror neurons, and taps into our need for safety and closeness. We've explored how it's risen in a time of collective anxiety, not as noise, but as relief, not as distraction, but as presence. And we've asked, is it fake intimacy or a bridge built from sound across the growing distance between us? But maybe the most powerful insight is this. ASMR isn't just about the sounds. It's about what those sounds represent. Gentleness, attention, care without expectation. Maybe that's what we're really craving. Not just the tingles, but the feeling of someone slowing down, just for us. Because in a world that constantly demands we be louder, faster, stronger, ASMR whispers back, you're allowed to rest, you're allowed to feel, and you are not alone. Have you ever felt ASMR? Not just the tingles, but that strange comfort, that quiet calm that sneaks in when the world shuts up? Or maybe you've never felt it. Maybe it feels awkward, confusing, or even unsettling. Either way, we want to hear from you. Drop your experience in the comments. What's your relationship with sound, silence, and attention? Have you ever used ASMR to sleep, to cope with anxiety, or just to feel less alone for a moment? Let's build a thread of honesty, of curiosity, of quiet connection. And if this episode made you feel anything, a memory, a question, even just the urge to pause, share it with someone who might need that pause too. Next up, we're exploring something even more mysterious. Why do we crave fear? And how horror movies, thrill-seeking, and adrenaline are secretly tied to survival. Because sometimes, what frightens us protects us. So if you're curious about how the mind works, how the world feels, and what it means to be human, you're in the right place.